Hi und herzlich willkommen zurück bei Star Trek Resurgence. Wir sind hier gerade bei den Verhandlungen mit den Hotari und den Alydien und haben gerade eine schwere Entscheidung vor uns. Ich habe ehrlich gesagt keine Ahnung, was ich nehmen soll. Denn wir sollen sagen, wer es mehr verdient hätte. Also wir dürfen uns nur für die Hotari oder für die Alydianer entscheiden. Wer für Tau verantwortlich ist. Ja, keine Ahnung. Ich bin froh, dass man hier pausieren kann. Es ist so schwierig. Das Ding ist, Tau ist doch, glaube ich, der Mond von den Hotari gewesen, ne? Wenn ich mich jetzt nicht völlig verpeile. Deswegen würde ich wahrscheinlich die Hotari wählen.
Only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means
Then you
necessary.
will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. And I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
Warum ist das so schwer? Ich könnte niemals Diplomat sein, ehrlich. Ich habe keine Ahnung.
I suppose there is some sense to that.
Es ist echt schwierig, solche Entscheidungen zu treffen. Warum guckt er so
I hope
böse?
we meet again, Jara Ryan.
Ich meine, was auch dafür spricht, wir sind gerade bei den Hotari. Wenn wir jetzt gegen die Hotari sind, dann könnte es schlecht enden. Warum guckt der so böse? Hab ich jetzt was Falsches gemacht? Ah.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Tja, das ist die Frage. Speak with members of each faction. Nicht Fraction.
The captain and ambassador have it handled. I've got my own mission.
Ja. Wollen wir doch mal schauen. I've got my own mission. Phaser rausholen geht nicht. Tricorder auch nicht. Ist das Wasser? Ist das ein Sprungbrett oder was ist das? Achso.
Soothing.
Soothing. Hallöchen. Palmen auf Bergen. Was man nicht alles so sieht, ne? Hallöchen, darf ich kurz stören, Citron?
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elydians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
I will keep that in mind.
Gut.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elydians.
Not seized, reclaimed,
Aha.
and
Zurückerobert.
restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Elydians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Elydian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Illyrians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
No need to worry. Even in a worst-case scenario, the fleet is always within reach.
But it would probably take them quite some time to get here.
Maybe. Or we might have other ships in the sector.
Of course. A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Die Frage ist nur, in welcher Art und Weise. Hallöchen.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he
Richtig,
is.
weil ich kann gar
I'm
nichts.
so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I get the sense you don't exactly trust them.
I don't trust their instincts, which are leading us to war. My fear has been that the Illyrians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Lydians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference.
Möglich.
Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Are you sure of this?
It's been the talk of the palace since the day of the revolt.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Oha.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Wenigstens eine Person ist hier vernünftig, mit der man reden kann.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
We are and will remain completely neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price?
Tja, das ist immer die Frage, ne?
A Major Solid Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Ich glaube, wir nehmen das erste.
You sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt.
Ja.
How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mine? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
Das ist die Frage.
Tell me.
Okay, also irgendwas.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Also irgendwas geht auf diesen Mond ab. Das ist nicht ganz so koscher. So, ist hier hinten noch irgendwas? Nö. Also irgendwas ist in diesen Minen los, irgendwas passiert da.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action. Such rough terrain.
Ja.
No wonder the Hotari are so tough.
Ja. Keine grünen Wiesen. Ich habe ja wirklich gehofft, grüne Wiesen und weiter, aber nö. Na gut. Gut, dann gehen wir mal wieder rein.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illidians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
So, jetzt liegt's an dir. Du musst irgendwas herausfinden. Das wäre ganz gut. Weil sonst, ja, haben wir keine Beweise.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
Warp failed.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Otherwise, it'll be an extended stay in the Hotari system.
Tja.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Ey,
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak.
genau.
Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Wie er grinst. Oh yeah, endlich, ich darf Shuttle fliegen. The Scientific Method. Ich hoffe, ich muss es jetzt nicht fliegen. Und jetzt bam gegen den Felsen. Meteorit.
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Oha. Upsa. Also, mit W nach vorne, mit D nach hinten, Maus umzudrehen und Q und E. Okay. The storm will push your shuttle around to stay focused, to maintain... stay focused. Na, super. Ach du Heilige. So. Okay. Dann fliegen wir mal.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Ja, ja. So.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Jetzt muss ich, hier.
I just don't take it personally. At least I try not to.
That's a very mature answer. Shows a positive attitude on your part. Remind me of it when I start complaining to you about the ship's new first officer.
Meine Güte. Jetzt muss ich hier alles auf einmal. Ich muss lenken, steuern, auch Englisch verstehen, lesen und irgendwelche Sachen noch beantworten. Regt euch mal ab. Lass das mal, Junge.
This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position.
Sieht aus wie ein Mikrofon.
Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
Don't get me wrong. Things are definitely trending up with Commander Rydek. She's put my ideas into action. And she listened to me when your life was on the line out on the hull.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is. But I'm still trying to figure out if she's right for the job. She didn't go through what the rest of us did. Still got chosen to be number one. Can't tell if she was actually siding with me, or if we just fell on the same side.
Yeah, but she's lucky she didn't go through what we did. You can't hold it against her.
Actually, I think I can.
Oh.
Even if I shouldn't.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Wird?
All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there.
Das sah komisch aus.
With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. Don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture.
Junge, ich habe hier gerade Meteoriten vor meinem Gesicht.
The captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
I appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well on your way.
Ja, sehe ich
You're
auch
a
so.
capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work. Who knows? Solid jack of all departments like you could be commander-in-chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot.
Can you get me
There
a
are places
propo?
to go in the enlisted ranks too. Of course, if you get an officer's commission, they'll put you on another ship.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
Genau. Oh, yeah, geil. Richtige Antwort. Immerhin habe ich mal was richtig gemacht. So. Ich find's gut. Nach Lower Decks versteht man die ein bisschen besser, also nach der Serie.
Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Oh, ist da anders geschrieben?
Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. On.
Okay.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Anscheinend ja nicht.
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Atari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Locate interference peaks. Da.
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Aha.
Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
Ah.
Beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
When someone punches you in the face, you hit back, Commander.
Right. But we need to know where and how to do it. Now, look here. It's the current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations, they line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
Oha. Okay, das ist tatsächlich der Mond. Mal gucken, was die Hotari Tylers, oder wie die hieß, herausfindet.
Presently, we don't have an explanation for
Suspicions.
how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
Here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. And the peace talks and warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Illidians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
Ja,
But what are they afraid of?
das ist die Frage.
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Ja.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
Tja.
She's worried that her people are being dragged into something that isn't going to end well for them. She's trying to save them.
That may be true.
Ja, ich hoff's doch.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
That's the thing. It doesn't make sense to bring us here. Tylus said that Galvin and Sidron have restricted access to the mines.
Ja.
Even to the Hotari. So they don't want anybody to learn what they've found.
Then calling in the Federation is a funny way of going about it. I don't think the Illidians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintis said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm.
Ja.
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
Das ist richtig.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illidians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Also schon sehr interessant. Oh Mann. Aber ich würde sagen, ja, du kannst mich gleich unterbrechen, aber erst in der nächsten Folge, denn wir machen jetzt hier erstmal Schluss. Es ist auf jeden Fall sehr interessant, was hier abgeht, weil irgendwie höhere Technologie, aber eigentlich können das beide gar nicht. Aber irgendwas verheimlichen die, irgendwas auf dem Mond. Was geht hier ab? Hatten wir hier noch irgendwas? Nee. Carter hatten wir. Genau, er fand es halt gut, dass wir an Spocks Shuttle arbeiten wollen. Der fand das Gespräch mit uns gut. Mit dem Eindruck, dass wir schlau sind, pragmatisch und naja, sicher in dem Wissen über das Schiff. Gut. Ja, da machen wir hier in der nächsten Folge weiter. Bis dahin, tschüss und tüdelü.